Panzer Dragoon Orta is one of those mythical Xbox games. You know, those games that increase in reputation over time, even if people's idea of playing the game is watching some YouTuber play through it or going off people's secondhand memories of the 2000s. It's probably been loaded on a lot of retro gaming nerds' Xboxes that they soft modded. It was one of the top requested games for the Xbox One's backwards compatibility feature, and it has also been one of the most requested games to be supported for CXBX Reloaded, that unofficial original Xbox emulator, alongside Jet Set Radio Future, of course. While Jet Set Radio Future is not on the Xbox One yet, Panzer Dragoon Orta finally is. And it also gets an upgraded resolution on the Xbox One, since while the 360 emulator ran it at 480p, the Xbox One's emulator upscales it. And so this means that Panzer Dragoon Orta and other original Xbox games look better than ever in the emulator. And now it's time to take a look at this mythical original Xbox game, now that it's on the Xbox One, to see if it lives up to the hype and reputation bestowed upon it by numerous retro gamers on the internet. Now, when you start a game up in Panzer Dragoon Orta, you get this whoa, big story. Think like the later Star Fox titles that toss the arcade-style presentation in favor of big plots, or Sonic the Hedgehog later on, except without the furries, and it's just, hey, look, here's a game where you shoot shit, and we're gonna have a whoa big story for it. Hey, look, cutscenes. Whoa, look at these evil baddies that you're going to fucking shoot anyway, because we're Square Enix now, and we gotta have 3D cutscenes with this. Now, with Panzer Dragoon Orta, they basically went out of their way to make sure it was a highly polished game, and you can see this with the graphics. This game looks polished as hell, especially for a 2003 Xbox game. It runs at 60 FPS, and it just looks great. It's got like this big orchestra music and all too, to let you know that you're playing a high budget game. But gameplay in Panzer Dragoon Orta just doesn't hold up as well. It's rail shooter based, but with this heavy polish around it. And if you've ever bought the Xbox One game Crimson Dragon or got it for free when it was a Games with Gold program game back in 2014, the gameplay's familiar, and that's because Crimson Dragon's a spiritual successor to this game, made by many of the same people, except while Crimson Dragon had a troubled development, was indie, it felt like a 360 game being dusted off for the Xbox One. Panzer Dragoon Orta was the opposite, being polished as hell, made by Sega, back before Sega did the whole Sammy merger and never recovered. You control a dragon and shoot stuff, and it's basically the dragon moves forward, and you don't really get a lot of freedom at all. You don't even really move the dragon. You mostly move the aiming reticule, and you turn the camera, and that's it. I mean, at first it seems nice. It looks great, and you get the feeling that deep down inside you really want to enjoy this game. And then the controls kick in, because, see, unlike a lot of rail shooters where the camera control is fixed, you have to spin the camera, and you do it by using the triggers. Yes, I know if you play Xbox games, you might assume that the triggers are going to shoot, especially since the Xbox was where Halo came out on. That was the game that really helped normalize and push the whole two analog control scheme with the triggers shooting. And if you play Xbox games, you might assume that the triggers would shoot, especially because the Xbox was where Halo came out. And yet, instead, they don't shoot. They just spin the camera 9 degrees. And the right stick just does nothing, and you can't remap it with the Xbox One controller app either. Now, these enemies come at you from all directions. Sometimes they'll come at the front, sometimes they'll come in the back, and the camera doesn't shift to reflect this. You have to spin the camera about 4 times, like 2 or 3 times, by pushing the left trigger and right trigger button. Furthermore, when you start this game, you don't get thrown into any sort of tutorial. Nope, instead you get tossed into the game with no knowledge or skills whatsoever, and you have to fend for yourself, trying to find out what this button does and what that button does, and then you have to figure out the play mechanics. And then after you get killed a few times, you'll find out that there is a tutorial in the main menu that you skipped over when you first launch the game. And you can play these tutorials, but they're not good enough to help you actually beat the game. You'll just get something that feels like it was read out of the manual instead. Then you get to experience the game's difficulty, and man, oh man, it's brutal. You know, like games made in the era where you had to spend 50 to 70 bucks on something with the length of a $10 Xbox Live Arcade game? And to make up for the lack of content, the developers just made it so you have to keep struggling at the game to beat it. It seems okay. Then you get to the first boss. The first boss. I'm not talking about the final boss, it's the first goddamn boss. And then, holy fuck, it just spams the shit out of you like some quarter munching arcade game. Except when you die, you have to start the whole boss all over again. And you might think, oh, maybe I'll just keep shooting these turrets, these fucking like bullet things they've been sending me the whole game. But then you try that, and it doesn't do it. You have to like kill them in a certain order, and even then you have to hope your dragon doesn't fucking target some other shit instead. And then you're trying to shoot it, and it just targets other shit instead. It doesn't kill what you want it to, and then next thing you know, boom, you're dead. And and then you get pissed off because you have to start the whole boss all over again. Because it's like some quarter munching arcade game, except when you die, you have to start the whole boss all over again, and then keep playing it over and over again, trying to find out what you did wrong, only to die again, because you have to play all the way to that part again. You also don't get the luxury of health power-ups like you do with Star Fox either, especially not on the first level of game. So if you lose health earlier on, it'll really bite you in the ass later. I mean, if this game was supposed to hook me with gameplay, it's sure not doing a good job, and at this point, it makes me glad I got a physical copy when it was cheaper, so I can resell this later on and get money from it from retro gamers on the internet. See, one of the biggest misconceptions my comment section loves to make about me and this channel is that I find games people worship and shit on them for the sake of it. Thing is, with games like this, I go in thinking, maybe this is a great game. Maybe, if everybody online says it's a great game, maybe it's a great game. And so I go into them, and I really want to enjoy them. And Panzer Dragoon Orta was one of those games. It was looking like a game I'd probably be playing for hours and hours to kill the time. Then after playing this game, I began to understand why many games added easier difficulties, why some games got zealous with forcing tutorials down your throat, and why, games fucking quit trying to do wacko control schemes. Trying to play Panzer Dragoon Orta makes you feel like you really want to play it and keep trying to play it over and over again. Then you get frustrated and ask yourself the important question, why am I playing this game and why am I not playing other games? It's the same problem that Konami games and most arcade shmups have. You want to enjoy this. There's polish. There's a voice in your head telling you that maybe you should be enjoying this and having fun, yet you simply can't. You watch videos of someone playing the game better, and you'll have either one of three thoughts. Nice save states, nice tool assist, or how much autism do you need to memorize an obscure Japanese game to the point where you can play it like a pro? It's not like that'll get you employed anywhere outside Taco Bell, and I heard streaming doesn't pay as well as it used to be. And then when that falls through, you have no plan B. I think nothing sums up the fact that nobody gives a shit about these stupid hard games than the fact that with many of these games, gameplay videos will get fewer videos than the soundtracks. Look how nobody plays Toho, but they listen to remixes of the soundtracks on a shitty iPhone speaker. Maybe that'll be a topic for another video. Oh, and if you play 5 hours without getting fed up or smashing your controller or beat the game, you can unlock Panzer Dragoon 1, which runs at a pretty low frame rate, and doesn't look so great or play so great either. Or you can just put the game in the original Xbox that you've modded, load up PD1.exe if you have an original Xbox, because who doesn't at this point? Unless you're one of those retro kids who wants to keep my Xbox original, in which case, good luck when your clock cap leaks and kills your Xbox because you wanted to keep that Microsoft seal intact. That's all that needs to be said, gamers. Thanks for watching and subscribe for more.